Okay, YouTube, we have got 3 more ghosts on Phasmophobia. So what we're going to do today is we're going to rank all 27 ghosts on how easy they are to identify, but as well, what we actually think of these ghosts, because some of these ghosts can be such a nightmare to get. So we'll see where they rank. We're going to go S tier, A tier, down to D tier. So let's go through. We'll go in the order it is on the page. And yeah, we'll talk about, I'm not going to go into detail of everything that these ghosts do, but I'll touch on how easy they are to identify, what sort of things you do, and then I'll do a separate video going through every single ability and everything of all these ghosts later on in the channel. So let's start with a spirit. And for me, a spirit, I'm going to put in A tier. So spirits are quite active. They do a lot of events, but they're quite easy to identify because they can only hunt every 3 minutes when it comes to when you incense them. So if you incense a ghost and it gets to 3 minutes, chances are it's a spirit. Now, the reason it's not S tier and it's in A tier is because there are certain ghosts, like a shade may take longer than 3 minutes. I've had twins take longer than 3 minutes. I've even had a demon take longer than 3 minutes if it's feeling lazy. So spirits, other ghosts can throw you off when it comes to a spirit, but overall, A tier when it comes to being able to identify them. A wraith, on how easy they are to identify, I would put as an S. They don't walk through salt. They teleport to you. So if you've got a load of salt and you know the ghost room, or if you put a motion sensor over the salt, you can identify that a wraith pretty easily. A phantom, again, I'm going to put S tier for identifying. They're really not visible when it comes to the hunts. I think it's so easy to see a phantom when they are hunting you. And also, if you manage to get a ghost photo, again, it won't be in the ghost photo, so it's easy to identify. The next ghost we're going to talk about is a polity. Now, I'm actually going to put a polity in B tier. And that's since the update they did, I think it was in July. I find a lot of ghosts throw a lot of objects quite far. And then depending on what map you're on as well, like if you're on Woodwind, a lot of items got flying. So I'm putting poltergeist in B tier because a lot of ghosts do throw a lot of objects. So I don't find them as easy to identify. You might disagree, but for me, a polity belongs in B tier when it comes to identify them. Banshee, I'm also going to put in... Oh, should I put A or B? I think it's an A or a B. I'm going to stick it in B because there are a lot more noises that ghosts make since the update again. So screams are less obvious. Screams seem harder to come by as well. It's rare that I get a scream when it's parabolic. I could put it in A because if it's a male, you can rule it out. But Banshees, they roam a lot. They do the scream. They can't... I don't know if that should be between A and B, but I'm going to stick with B for now. You might disagree. It could be pushed up to A, I would say. But we'll leave it in B for now. Now, a Jinn, for me, I'm going to put in... Again, it's between A and B, I think. I think it's between A and B. I'm actually going to put a Jinn in... I'm going to put Jinn in B as well. No, I'm going to put Jinn in A. Now, I'm going to put Jinn in A because... Again, with the experience that I have on this game and watching the hunts, if you're far away from a Jinn and the breaker is on, it'll have a super speed boost when it comes to you. And then when it gets to you, it'll become a normal speed. And not a lot of ghosts do that. In fact, I don't think there's any ghost that does it. Well, no ghost does it the way Jinn does it. I always say most ghosts have line of sight speed up, but this is a super line of sight and then it will go normal speed. So as long as you don't panic and see a Jinn running towards you, when it gets to normal speed and it gets close to you, you'll be able to tell it's a Jinn. And a Jinn also can't turn the breaker off. So I suppose caveat to it being easy to identify, it's also easy to rule out if the ghost turns the breaker off. So I think Jinn's A tier, and I think a lot of people disagree with that one, but I'm pretty good at knowing when it's a Jinn or not. You might be too. A mare, C. So a mare is, you know what, a mare, I'm going to put in D. I think a mare is a boring ghost. It has no special hunting abilities, it has no special hunt style, and all the ghosts can technically do a mare ability if it happens to turn the light off at the same time with the flashlight. There is other tests you can do to do the TV remote and stuff, but luckily, normally mare is one of them ghosts, especially if you're playing no evidence, is at the end you say, okay, I've ruled everything out, it's not a mare. I could push that up to a C because a lot of ghosts turn the light on, and if it turns the light on, you can rule out a mare again, but we're talking about how easy they are to identify, not how easy they are to rule out. So because a mare's got nothing special about it really, I'm going to go a D tier. Revenant, S tier. I think Revenant is one of the easiest ghosts to identify. And that is especially so if it can't see you when it starts hunting. If it can't see you when it starts hunting, it is very, very slow. And you can almost instantly tell when it's a Revenant slow. If you've played the game, you know when a Revenant's slow. And then if it sees you, It's got a super speed. There's no other ghost that does it like the Revenant does it. So I would put that in S tier personally. Shade, D. I'm going to put Shade in D tier. Shades are one of the worst ghosts to get. They sometimes choose to be a lot more active. Again, when we talk about ruling it out, we can talk about not being able to do singing events, not eventing on you in the room. But the thing is, when if you're playing in a map with small rooms and close proximity, it can like event outside of that room and then roam to you, or it can blow a firelight from outside of that room, or it can do its ghost right from outside of the room if you're playing with evidence. And again, with the shade, it can confuse you with its hunting times, and overall, depending on where the ghost is, it can be difficult to identify. General rule of thumb: if it's not active and doesn't want to hunt and doesn't event on you a lot, you'd say it's a shade. But they can be tricky to identify, in my personal opinion. Demon, I'm going to put in C tier. Demons are their own beasts. They do what they want. Sometimes they want to attack you from all angles. Sometimes they act like a shade. I said earlier in the video that I've had demons take over 3 minutes to hunt. I've had demons hunt in just over a minute. I've had demons take 5 minutes to hunt. They honestly do what they want. I think they're probably one of the ghosts with the most personality because they just choose to do exactly what they like. And yeah, sometimes they're really difficult to identify, especially now with the introduction of the Galoob, which is supposed to act like a demon, but it's a case of demons are tricky because, like I said, they do what they want. Yuri, I'm gonna put in D tier as well. So the best way to identify a Yuri is if you only see it open and fully closed doors. But the thing is with Yuri, again, it's easier to rule it out than it is to identify it. If you see a ghost only half open a door, you can rule out a Yuri. But again, all ghosts can open and close doors. So it's a Yuri, if you're playing no evidence, again, is about narrowing it down and getting that left. If it interacts and closes the front door outside of a hunt, then you know it's a Yuri. But it's rare that a ghost will do that. So you're talking about trying to whittle it down. Yuri is quite aggressive, but again, a lot of ghosts can be aggressive. So Yuri is a difficult one in my opinion to identify all the time. Only I'm going to put in. This could be B or A again. I'm going to put Oni in A. They are very visible during hunts, and I think when you get an Oni and you know it's obvious because it's barely blinking during the hunt. So I think you're good to go on that. And again, if we talk about ruling out the ghost, it can't do the airball event, so it's an easy one to rule out if you get the airball event. Again, Onis are really active, so you're getting loads of events. So if you're starting with a high sanity and you know the ghost is doing loads of events to drain your sanity, then you can think it's an Oni and then you can confirm it with the hunt. So yeah, for me, Oni does belong in A tier, so I'm good with that. Yokai, B tier. Depending on what map you're playing on, Yokai can be easy to identify or difficult to identify. It's one of those ghosts as well, is you'll get to a yokai when you start running it down, but general rule of thumb, if you're playing no evidence, always do a yokai test at some point during the game. Go further away from the map but close enough so it can hear you. Speak or do your trigger button and radio to the ghost, and if it doesn't come towards you and you know you're in proximity, it's going to be a yokai. But like I say, it can be difficult to do, and if you do the test and it's not a yokai, you could end up in a bad spot. So I'm happy with yokai being in the middle of the road. Hantu, S tier. I think Hantus are quite easy to identify. You'll know if it's Hantu if it's super fast in the ghost room, and then it's really slow outside of the ghost room. And if you turn off the breaker, you can see that Hantu has the cold breath. So there's many tests you can do for a Hantu. So I think it's one of those that's quite easy to identify. Therefore it belongs in S. Goryo, D tier. Now, if we're talking about no evidence, Goryo is a nightmare to identify. Basically, you've got to, if the ghost change room, you can rule out a Goryo. But other than that, Goryo is like when you get to the end, if you're not sure and it hasn't moved rooms, you're going to have to go Goryo. But that takes a lot of time ruling out every single other ghost to then get to Goryo, which is why it belongs in a D tier. Mylin, I'm going to put B or C, B or C, B or C, B or C. I might put Mylin in C tier. Especially recently we've had the Christmas event, that ghost was hella loud. So I've found that sometimes Mylins can be quite loud, and I know it's through proximity and everything, but I think some Mylins are just weird. Some Mylins seem louder than others, and I don't know if that's just me, but Your Mylins can throw you off. I mean, I could put it at bottom of B tier, but mate, I'm gonna leave it in C. I'm gonna leave it in C, and let me know in the comments if you disagree with that, because I think that'll be a contentious one in this video. Onryo is also going in C, because Onryo, again, it's all to do with firelights and everything. And if it ever lights a candle, again, you can rule it out. So if you talk about ruling it out, that's an easy way to do it. But I've done Onryo tests in the past. The 3 firelight test doesn't always work. It just does what it wants. Sometimes they blow out 3 firelights and just don't hunt. And sometimes they will actively avoid firelights. So if the ghost is hunting all the time and staying away from firelights, you can think it's an Onryo. But the best test for an Onryo is to see if it blows out a firelight twice within 20 seconds. If it blows out a firelight, you relight it and it's less than 20 seconds and it blows it out again, then it's not an Onryo. I mean, then it is an Onryo. But again, it doesn't always do that. I personally would say the best way is to spread firelights around, and if it spawns on it, then you can rule it out. But again, that's talking about how you can rule it out rather than identify it. So that's why it's C tier, because it's more easy to rule out than it is to identify. Twins, I'll go middle of the park, B. They maybe would be higher, but now the Obambos come in, they sort of act like twins. So you know what? At the same time, I'm going to do Obambo and B as well. I'll do them 2 at the same time, because they're 2 ghosts that change to fast and slow. Now, an Obambo is, I believe, slower and faster than the twins. So the slow Obambo is slower than the slow twin, and the fast Obambo is faster than the fast twin. I will double check that, but I think that's the case. And the thing is with Obambo, it does it every 2 minutes. It has to change every 2 minutes. The twin does what it wants. So with these together, I think when you come to ghost changing speed, obviously you can look at a mimic, but they're the 2 that you might find yourself now a lot debating: is it Obambo? Is it twins? And the best thing you can do between them is either you can see if it's doing it per time, or if once we learn the speeds more, you'll be able to identify between the 2. But I think them 2 in the middle of the park. I think they're okay there. Raiju, I'm going to go A tier. When it comes to Raiju, I'm happy to identify it. It's quite slow outside normally. Like, it's not super slow, but I think it's slightly slower. And then if you put electronics around you, you can see it's super fast. You'll know when it does the super fast speed up. Also, when it comes to, it's got bass boosted like heartbeat. So if you play with headphones, it's quite easy to identify when that happens. And another one is, say if I'm in the kitchen on Tanglewood and it's spawning in the bedrooms at the back, it'll be interfering with my radio and my head torch from there, whereas a normal ghost wouldn't. So if you ever get that and you know it's not a yokai, then if you ever get that, then you can probably say that's a Raiju. So yeah, with the speed and everything in between, there's plenty to identify a Raiju. So I think it belongs in A tier. Obake, S tier. If you got the lights on and you're looping a ghost, you can clearly see it shapeshift. I think it's one of the easiest ghosts to identify. Sometimes they're stubborn when it comes to it, but they do change on the same time every hunt. I believe it's a certain amount of blinks, but be persistent with it, do multiple hunts, and you'll definitely know if you've got an Obake or not. Mimic. So it depends how we're talking about this. If we're talking about zero evidence, a mimic is quite easy to identify because you can see if you've got a ghost orb in the ghost room. But if we're talking about not even doing that and just seeing it, I'm gonna have to put mimic in the middle of the park, because, like I say, if you don't see the ghost orb and you're just identifying different hunts, it could be 80. You know, I don't know. The mimic, it could mimic multiple boring ghosts, so it could be hard to identify. If it starts mimicking, say, a revenant, and then it mimics, I don't know, an Obake, and then it mimics a phantom, you know you're going to be able to identify a mimic pretty easily. But if it mimics a Goryo, a Yuri, and then a Mare, and then even a Shade, you're not going to know. So middle of the park, I think, is fair for that. Moroi, I'm going to go A tier, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to put both of these in A tier. Now, this could just be me. I play a lot of No Evidence, No Sanity. So when it comes to Moroi and Aether at the beginning, I'm getting better at it, but they're both super fast, so it's harder to tell. I mean, I can't quite get the speed right. The way to differentiate between them is a Moroi has an extended smudge timer. It is slightly faster. So if you're looking at them too, then that is a good way to differentiate between them. But could I put them in S? No, I'm happy with them in A. I'm happy with them in A for now. Dio, we all know, is S tier. It's the easiest ghost to identify. It's the easiest ghost to loop for most of you. So yeah, S tier is fine. I'm fine with that. Diane, I'm also putting in S tier now. I've had a couple recently, and They're actually really cool ghosts to get and easy to identify. One, you know they've got to be female, and two, as long as you don't panic and when the ghost is coming towards you, if you think you've got a Diane, stay still and it's super slow, and then you can move. And you can even do this without the ghost seeing you. Say you're hiding in a cupboard and the ghost is slow and you start moving around, you can hear the ghost go really fast. So you can identify that ghost without even it having a chance to attack you. Like with the Revenant, it needs the line of sight to speed up, where Diane don't even need to know you're there, it just needs to know you're moving. So I think it's a really easy ghost to identify. Galu, for now, for me, I am going to put a Galu in C tier, and I know this will go up. I just haven't had enough of these ghosts to identify it properly. I know it's got 3 states. I know it's got a fast, a normal, and a slow, and it goes in. I think it goes in there. I think it goes in that order: normal, fast, slow, normal, fast, slow. And once I get used to the speeds and it differentiating, then I know for a fact Galu will go maybe A or even S tier. But for now, I haven't had enough of them since the update, and they're going to go in C for me. I could even put them in B now, but I'm telling you now, as time goes on, as we get more Galus, that will move up the list for 100%. So yeah, guys, that is my ranking. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of them. You notice I put a lot in S tier and a lot in A tier, and the same in B. So I think it comes with time playing the game, being able to identify a lot of the ghosts. But yeah, this is the list. I've got more lists coming, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. Lots of videos coming this year. Hope this was a good video to watch. Hope you agree with it. If not, let me know in the comments. I'll speak to you soon.